And let's welcome the current and first ever AEW champion, Chris Jericho. Chris, you just finished a tag team title match. You literally just got out of the ring. What happened?
Well, obviously, I won. And if I didn't win, do you think I'd say any otherwise? I am le champion. And needless to say, I captivated the Nashville crowd here. And they're holding a parade in my honor tomorrow. I'll be signing babies and kissing puppies later on in the evening. Other than that, it was just another day in the life of Chris Jericho.
Chris, you are carrying AEW on your burly shoulders right now. You've worked everywhere. You've been in WCW, you've been in WWE. What's the biggest difference between the different brands that you've been a part of?
I love that you said burly shoulders. I actually trained my shoulders today, so like cannonballs, right? I think the biggest difference between all the companies is there's just a lot more of a sense of creative freedom in AEW. It's more really live without a net. When we say live TV, it really is. A lot less planning, which sometimes things go off the rails, but always in a good way. I think when things are over-analyzed and over-thought, it becomes a little bit sterile and a little bit saccharine. We don't have that in AEW, so it's a lot more of a Wild West mentality. And I think that's one of the reasons why people enjoy watching and why we've had such great crowds and had such great ratings for the last 2 months since we started.
Yeah, great ratings for TSN,
That's
too,
right.
Chris.
And you just turned 49
That's what I
last
heard,
Saturday.
yeah.
You turned 49. You're currently
yes.
You're currently not in management, but does it kind of feel like you are because you're the veteran?
Yeah, I don't want to have anything to do with management. I don't like facts and figures and demos and quarterlies and codicils and board meetings and all that sort of stuff. I'm born and bred to be in front of the camera. Having said that, I definitely have the most experience in AEW, and with some smart moves and some good reinvention, I'm pretty much, I'd say, bigger now than I've ever been as far as name value-wise in the wrestling business. And if it sounds egotistical, it's because it is. And also, I think in the ring, I've really figured out a way to focus on my strengths and get rid of any weaknesses that I might have. So, yes, I'm 49, but I think I'm still in the position where I'm having the best match on the show, or one of the best matches on the show, the best segment on the show. I think a lot of the stuff that we've done over the last 6 or 7 weeks, Jericho stuff stands out. And that's what my job is here, is to have the best segments for now and to teach some of the other guys how to become bigger stars. And over the next 6 months, year, that's what we're planning on, because you can't just continue on my name alone. We have to continue to spread like a plague. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 legitimate top stars. And that's what we're working on at AEW, and so far, so good.
Chris, I know you worked at WWE, and I don't know if you remember this, but the owner of that brand tends to get involved pretty heavily.
Right.
How much is Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, involved with AEW?
Well, I mean, Tony's very much for kind of the outlaw attitude that we have, and he's not a pushover. He has a certain vision in mind. He writes a lot of the stuff, collaborates for a lot of the stuff, but if he has an idea that he wants to do, we do it. If there's an idea he doesn't like, we don't do it. So I think there's a little bit of a misconception that Tony's just, some guy running around, throwing around money and just letting guys do what they want. He's the type of guy, he was booking wrestling TV when he was 14 years old in his mind. And now a lot of those ideas that he had are now coming true in AEW, and they're really good ones. So I really respect Tony Khan. I'm not afraid to go toe-to-toe with him. I wasn't afraid to go toe-to-toe with Vince either, because I think the more a collaborative effort you have between guys who really know what they're doing and have a vision, the better it is. So there's a lot of similarities between Tony and Vince, but I think the biggest difference is that, as of right now, Tony lets the guys do what they feel is best, which usually works out. If you have the experience and have been around, gut instincts usually work out for the better, rather, like I said, than overanalyzing things. So there is a lot of differences here, and I'm really enjoying it in AEW as a result.
Okay, so speaking of gut, you got to tell us what your gut is on this one. So you were born in New York. Your dad played for the Rangers in the 70s, but you grew up in Winnipeg. So you were in attendance for the Rangers home opener last month where they played the Jets. Are you Jets or are you Rangers?
Well, it's funny because I was in New York doing a press day, and part of the press was going to Madison Square Garden. And then, you know, they at the Garden, they put the celebrities that are there on the screen on the big Tron. So it was Michael J. Fox and Turtle from Entourage and Michael Buffer and those type of guys, and then Chris Jericho. So, you know, if you cut me open, I'm bleeding Winnipeg Jets, you know, red, white, and blue. But for that night, I'm a Rangers guy. I'm there as a guest of the Rangers. And listen, if there's ever anybody that has a right to cheer for the Rangers in the Garden, it's me, because I grew up in the Garden. I remember sitting, you know, in the stands at 3 years old watching my dad play when he was with the Rangers. And I was always mad that he wouldn't look up at me and wave while he was on the ice. So, yeah, I grew up in the Garden. Rangers, you know, if the Winnipeg Jets left Winnipeg again, I'd probably morph to the Rangers anyway. So next time I go to Winnipeg, if the Rangers are there, I'll definitely be cheering for Winnipeg.
All right, that was a good answer, Chris.
Know who would have great in wrestling, like as a manager? Ron Duguay.
Yeah, great hair.
Well, Duguay was far too good looking for that. I'd rather go for a Nicky Fatiu or a Sean Conan the Barbarian, Cronin the Barbarian. Those type of guys would have made much better wrestlers because they're a little bit crazier.
Right.
I think it's funny, when I grew up in Winnipeg, John Ferguson, famous GM of the Jets for years, he was actually a referee in a cage match. It was Rick Martel versus, I think, like Ivan Koloff, and
Wow.
John Ferguson was the referee.
Was
and
it like
he's like, I'm going to
Stampede,
make sure
Chris?
that. No, it was AWA back in the early 80s. So he would have made a good wrestler. He was a miserable SOB.
Chris, thank you so much for doing this right after you're battling it out in a big tag team match, man, and continued success Wednesday nights. You're killing it on TSN with AEW, so continued success.
They told me that I had to wear a shirt for this interview. So apparently topless men are banned on TSN. Remember that, guys.
Darn it.